I'm focused on his spirit cause it keeps me from his fire. The Holy Ghost was with me, so my fear I leave behind. My sins were all diminished when he took that breath and died. And if you think I'ma give up on my God, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. The devil is a lie.
Hello, hello. This is Christina Barr. You're watching Black Tea News. Hello, hello. Welcome to Black Tea News. I'm your host, Christina Barr, and today we're going to be talking about this duck situation in Ohio. There's some residents of Springfield who are quite unhappy with some conditions with some of the Haitian migrants who are apparently just taking birds right off of the streets and in the ponds and everywhere and just taking it and killing them. And there's reports of people saying like watch your pets and all kinds of different stuff. So I want to show you some of that those conversations going on, but also I want to talk a little bit about Donald Trump taking the lead in this New York Times poll, and it's flipping out some folks today, flipping out some Democrats. But it's not looking good for Kamala because they gave her all this glowing praise. Tomorrow is obviously a big day when they have their debate. We'll see how that goes. So much is make or to break it. She did, by the way, list some policy stuff on her website, which aren't actually policies, but JD Vance, man, he just eviscerated it all in this thread. I'm not going to go through probably the whole thread because he writes a lot. just trashing Kamala Harris. So, I do want to direct people to that particular thread. And then also Liz Cheney, she came out, of course, in support of Kamala Harris, and her reasons are absurd, but she came for Nikki Haley for coming out in support of Trump. And Nikki Haley said, hey, I'm not abandoning my principles voting for Donald Trump. And Nikki Haley is the correct one here. You cannot like Trump, and I could give you like lots of reasons not to vote for him, I guess, but to not vote for him, and you're going around saying you're a conservative, and then you decide to vote for Kamala Harris, and she's trying to convince people. She said stuff like, look at their policies, and I think if you look at their policies, you'll see. I'm like, no, if you look at their policies, independents and rational people will say that he's the moderate, and you folks are more likely to say, like on the right would say he's not conservative enough. He's not conservative enough for me. But if between the two of them, she's absolutely the radical. So I understand she don't like him. It makes me concerned about more alarm bells going off on why they want to throw their support behind him. But it can't just all be pettiness and spite. And if it is, I just wish people would say that, But lots of things to talk about and discuss here on today. Before we jump into it, I want to encourage you guys. Well, first of all, thank you to those who are watching live. I see, hello, April. I see you in the chat. Thank you for encouraging people to hit the like button. But thank you guys for watching live. Those of you who watch back later, very much appreciate it. To learn more, see more, you guys can go to blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, different articles, videos, etc. I dropped a couple last week. I'm still writing some more right today. I was working on a story about Steph Curry and his endorsement of Kamala Harris, which is so stupid. Maybe I'll play a little bit of it and talk about it. I know I could talk a long time about it, but I decided to start writing, and I didn't get a chance to finish my article before church yesterday, and I was out all day yesterday, so I try to get that out tonight. But his reasons for supporting her absurd, mostly women's rights stuff, and I'm like, I could give you a list of all the ways Kamala Harris is bad for women's rights. they only mean abortion. Like they don't care about body autonomy. They don't care about women's decisions when it comes to how she's going to raise her kids, or helping her with school choice for her kids and other stuff like that. But I'll table that, but let you know there's still goodies and good stuff coming all the time. I'm gonna make some very good hit pieces on Kamala Harris, so just stay tuned. Go to the website, check out that stuff there, and also support if you can. If you can support, I very much do appreciate it. If you can't, I understand Biden inflation, all that stuff. Times are tough, but if you can go the extra mile, I appreciate if you guys can support on the website. If you want to support on Facebook, you guys can send stars. On YouTube, you guys can do the super chat. But going to the website is really the best way. You guys can also check out different merch that's available. I also encourage you very much to check out my second edition of course, God is Blatantly Against Abortion. It covers theology and rights and science and philosophy and all that good stuff. So I very much encourage you guys to check it out and to pick it up. And it's available on right now. Actually, the new version is just available on Amazon, but you guys can get in paperback, or you guys can get an ebook. That's one of my books that I do not actually have on Kindle Unlimited. Neither of my nonfiction books are on Kindle Unlimited, but the rest of my books are on Kindle Unlimited. All of my fiction books, which are from like children's chapter books all the way to like new adult, covering all kinds of different stuff. So if you search my name on Amazon, you'll be able to find a lot of my work. So I encourage you guys to check all that stuff out if you like to read. A happy Monday, S Cool. Happy Monday. It is he said it's tea time. It is tea time. We do have some tea. We do have some good tea. I also want to announce, I told you guys that I had some upcoming events for like book stuff, and I didn't know the exact days. I did figure out the exact days. So at the Book Fest in Ann Arbor, that is the Sunday of election week. And so I remembered that because I'm like, that's a very inconvenient Sunday, but I wanted to do it. I said yes. So I will only be signing books for 2 hours though. And so I'll put more specific details, but that'll be in Ann Arbor, Michigan. And then there's the actual election on that following Tuesday. But that same weekend, going from that Friday to Saturday and to the next Sunday, that is when Motor City Comic Con is. So I thought it was like further down in November. I did not know it was all like the same week. So I got to make sure I have enough books available so I don't run out for one thing versus another. And so that's just a crazy week. I hope I'm having a happy Comic-Con weekend for the country or whatever. But we'll see what happens. I just know that I'll have fun and have a good time and have my books there. So if anyone is interested in the Metro Detroit area, you guys can put that in your calendar because I will be there. Another interesting thing that's coming up, and if you're in the Michigan area or you want to travel anyway, Am I Racist? Daily Wire's film is coming out, starring Matt Walsh. I already saw it. I already let you guys know that I saw it a couple weeks ago, maybe like about 2 weeks ago or something like that. And it was great. It was really great. Worth seeing. So I got to see it at a special viewing, and there was a Q&A with one of the producers of the film, who was actually in the film too. So the PAC that I work with, the Brighton Michigan PAC, they're actually having an event on this Thursday, and they're buying out a theater. So watching it, I guess a little early, because I think it's coming out that Friday. But we're gonna be there, and so there's tickets are $20, and it's pop and popcorn, and then there's an after party event where you'll be with the same producer that I met, who's in the film, and there's also going to be food. So it's a pretty good deal for $20 in a movie, and popcorn and pop and all that stuff, because that stuff is not cheap when you actually buy it in the theater. So it'll be a very nice event, and I will be there. So you can watch the film with me. The link for that I will have to share, because I just kind of found the link for it myself, so I don't have it ready to go. But I will post it on Facebook, and I will post it on YouTube, and I will put it on my website. So you guys can check that out, and I will mention it tomorrow. But there's still seats available. Craig said they wish they lived in Michigan. You know what? One of these days I'll get around and travel to some different places and hopefully some events of whatever, they'll start kind of inviting me out. I travel sometimes a bit. I haven't really traveled a lot, especially not for my books and stuff, since like before the pandemic, really. And I want to get to more do. I want to do more of that, like I used to. I used to like go all over the place, really, especially for my books. But you know, those are things that I hope to continue and so on in the future. But yeah, it'll at least be fun if you're in the Michigan area. I know there's a lot of people on my page who are also Michiganders. So if you can come, I encourage you guys uh to come on out. Anyway, let's hop to the news. So the first thing I want to mention, because I told you guys that um I think I mentioned on Friday that the appeals court shot down the Secretary of State who was trying to by the way, I don't know if it's a Midwestern thing or just a Michigan thing, but we like we don't say Secretary of State, it's like Secretary of State. So I just did it. So that's why I chuckle a little bit, because I'm self-aware, but I'm gonna keep saying it the Michigan way, I guess. But Jocelyn Benson, she wanted to kick Cornel West off of the ballot because he will take votes away from Kamala Harris. And she wants to keep Kennedy on the ballot because it will take votes away from Trump. And that's the political heart of the matter. But so the judges ruled that Cornel West could stay on the ballot and that Kennedy could come off. And so I said, when it goes up to the Supreme Court, we are a left-leaning court now in Michigan. We're a left-leaning court. So I said it's probably likely that they're going to vote in her favor, but we'll see. We'll see. And they did vote in Jocelyn Benson's favor. So as of right now, he is going to be on the ballot, but it looks like they are going to appeal this, maybe. Craig Mauger, who is a Michigan reporter I'm looking at, he just put something out there. He said, in a new filing, Robert Kennedy's legal team accuses the Michigan Secretary of State's office of attempting to have voters throw away their votes on a withdrawal candidate. And he'd also tweeted, it should be noted that it was Kennedy who sought the Natural Law Party's presidential nomination and then decided to withdraw and endorse someone else. So the Secretary of State is saying that the Natural Law Party did, go ahead and select him at their convention. So she's saying it's too late to take him off. And the appeals court said no, that they could. And the Court of Appeals decision should not be he said the Court of Appeals decision should be affirmed. Mr. Kennedy withdrew from the presidential race. All defendants need to do to step aside and allow the cogs that properly set in motion on September 6th to continue turning. That she is fighting to actively add Mr. Kennedy's name to the ballots to have Michigan voters throw away their votes to a withdrawn candidate should not be rejected, but strongly condemned as improper and beyond the mistrial impartial role defendants should play in elections. Defendants should follow the law, and that law, as the Court of Appeals clearly articulated, permitted Mr. Kennedy to have withdrawn from the day he suspended his campaign. And I don't think she's fighting to make sure the Natural Law Party isn't disenfranchised, especially since he's a withdrawn candidate. They just don't want him they want him to stay on the ballot because it is a razor thin margin in Michigan. It's in the margin of error pretty much with the swing states. And they want Michigan. Both of them want Michigan. Trump doesn't actually need Michigan to win though, but Kamala Harris needs Pennsylvania though. And they want to make sure he can just take votes from her, because it doesn't make it's just funny, the contrast of trying to kick Cornel West off while you're trying to keep Kennedy on the ballot. It's just funny. It's just funny. But that bit of news, breaking news, I don't know if they'll have time or I don't know standing to take that any further, or if it just kind of is what it is. I don't know what they might decide in North Carolina, because they actually paused ballots from being printed and sent out, and Democrats are saying, "Oh, we're disenfranchising voters." I'm like, you it's not even voting day yet. You have plenty of time to vote. You're not disenfranchised because they paused a little bit on a serious matter. So we'll see what happens there. Uh, we'll see what happens there. But it's shady. It's so shady. It's so shady. Um, but she should be concerned because there was a New York Times poll that came out that's not great for her. And she had all the sparkle and the shine from the convention, but it still ain't putting her over the top. The New York Times Siena College poll on September 3 to 6. If the 2024 presidential election were held today, who would you vote for if the candidates were Kamala Harris and Donald Trump? And 47% said Kamala Harris. Donald Trump said 48% said Donald Trump. So that's above her, obviously. And I would not assume that these are kind of rigged in his favor. Now, of course, rigged is kind of the wrong word, but like set up to be in his favor. Now, that's just 1%, but she really needs to be over beyond like margin of error to feel comfortable. And she's had all this glowing press, and the media is on her side. Let's be for real. They're on her side. They're covering for her. If you watch Morning Joe, it's embarrassing. If you watch some of the ABC, the morning shows or Sunday shows, it's embarrassing. On ABC and other stuff like that. It's how they just fall over her, protect her. And they go so hard when they're talking to JD Vance or when they're talking to Tom Cotton, who both are excellent speakers. They'll push back on Trump, but Dana Bash did, you know, okay talking to Kamala Harris, but obviously she could have pushed her more, which there was an interview with her talking about it. And she's like, okay, you can ask a question, you know, once or twice, but if you get to three times and they're not giving you specifics, their answer is basically what they just said. Like they're not gonna go further after you ask the question like three times. And she did, ask some clarifying questions or follow-ups. There was a time where she kind of gave a multiple choice answer, which someone cut it like it was um Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with the multiple choice answers, which was pretty funny. If I can find it, I'll show you guys. But I think this poll is obviously good, but I think a lot is riding on obviously the debate tomorrow. And in the polling, you could see that a lot of people know who Donald Trump is. A lot of them saying they want to know more about Kamala Harris. And they're spending a lot of time trying to define Trump and Project 2025, which according to the crosstabs in this poll, isn't really gonna. A lot of people say they don't care about it. A lot of people say they don't care about it. So she's wasting a lot of time trying to define him when the truth is, she is kind of pretty much the incumbent because she is in the Biden-Harris administration, but people still don't know her. So when I say that to people are amazed. Like, how can people not know who she is? There are people who didn't know who Joe Biden was when he was the vice president with Obama. So a lot of people don't pay attention to that. They just don't. They just don't. I don't know what else to tell you. They don't. And a lot of people don't pay attention to primaries. So you and I might be like, but we remember all the crazy stuff she said in 2019. A lot of people didn't pay attention to that. They might have saw like Kamala Harris grill somebody after it went viral in the Senate. But other than that, they don't know too much. And maybe they don't even understand, like, if they have that image of Kamala Harris in their mind of her being this prosecutor when she's in the Senate really grilling people. They probably are so confused why she's terrified to give an interview. There's some people who push back on me who's like, no, she's a great speaker. If you think that, you haven't been paying attention. You haven't watched her interviews. There's a reason why they don't want her to have interviews. There's a reason why she hasn't had press conferences and all that stuff. It's because she doesn't have good policy. She's very radical and she's just not good at speaking and conveying what she believes. Even the policies on their website aren't, they're nonsense, you know. Maybe nonsense is a strong word, but they they're not serious. They're not going to give the American people what they really need to know enough about her. So I don't know how well she can possibly do tomorrow night to make the American people feel like they really know her. And I don't anticipate her doing a good job, even if they had the original plan of the mics being unmuted and her being able to, cross-examine Donald Trump. I think a lot of that probably would have came off as cringy and kind of stupid. And there's a good chance she would have came out in a glowing light. Now, the people who want to support her, who are intellectually committed to supporting her, they just, it's not going to take much for them to celebrate her and clap for her and applaud for her when she says I'm speaking or whatever. They're going to go ahead and uplift her and buy t-shirts that they're going to print for whatever lines that they throw out there. But I don't want to put your expectations too high of like Trump demolishing her. But I can't imagine a world where she does great. Now, she didn't like totally crash and burn when she was against Mike Pence, but he won that debate. And most people would probably acknowledge that if there wasn't a fly that got stuck in his hair. Because that's what people wanted to focus on. That's what people wanted to talk about. And the reason why they wanted to talk about that is because that fly might have owned him, but she didn't. She didn't. So since that time, she's not like, it's not hypothetical what her presidency was or what it could have been, because now they were running on things that could be done, should be done, and now she's been in that position with Joe Biden. So now there's, hey guys, they said things were bad when I was president, and that was in the midst of the pandemic, sure, but now you got to experience what Kamala Harris presidency is like with Joe Biden. And come on, let's be real. Most of you liked it how it was before when I was running the show. And you can hate him, but most people could be like, oh gosh, it's kind of true. It's kind of true. So there's a lot he can point his finger at. I mentioned this on Friday, and I've mentioned it to some people who I hope they're working up the food chain. And I said, there's no way, for example, they should just let her own the abortion issue and be like, women have to do what they want with their own body. That's how she sounds when she talks about it. And if that's the route that they want to go, Donald Trump could easily say, if you truly cared about bodily autonomy and freedom of the American people, then why did you and Joe Biden issue unconstitutional OSHA mandates to force businesses to coerce people into getting the jab? Why did you do that? Why did your running mate, who you selected, Tim Walz, lock up a woman for trying to operate her business, put food on her table, in which she couldn't keep it open due to his draconian tyrannical lockdown measures, and she had to spend 90 days in prison and missed Christmas with her family. So don't tell me that you care about a woman's choice when you're locking up women who are trying to provide for their families and keep their businesses alive, and you went way past what you needed to do with COVID restrictions as far as the running mate that you chose. So that is what you chose to put on the ballot. And you and Biden did this unconstitutional OSHA mandate, and you didn't care if it cost people their jobs, their livelihoods. You didn't care about any of that. So how dare you try to convince the American people that you're some kind of libertarian on the issue when it comes to freedom and bodily autonomy? The only choice that you respect and that you uplift for women is for them to kill their own children, which by the way, Kamala Harris in America, you need to know that she supports healthy women being able to abort viable healthy fetuses. That is how extreme she is. Women with pregnancies, nothing's wrong with them, nothing's wrong with the baby, that they should be able to abort, use it like backup birth control. You could try to pretend like that doesn't happen, but ask her, right? I'm asking her point blank, do you support a woman, a healthy pregnant with a healthy pregnancy, being able to abort a healthy, viable fetus? Yes or no, Kamala Harris? And, that's the route I would go with the COVID stuff. I wouldn't say the afterbirth stuff because people are like, what the heck is he even talking about? That's not true. That doesn't happen. And I know he could, particular examples that he could cite and take up time trying to explain. But I promise you, the easiest way to really nail them on this issue is to say that these people believe that healthy women should be able to abort their healthy, viable fetuses. Now, don't get me wrong. Abortion is wrong at any stage of pregnancy, not just because the baby is viable, which, by the way, viability means your ability to survive in your environment, and the fetus is supposed to be in the womb. So they are viable in the environment they're supposed to be in. And if they are not, then they will miscarry naturally. They will have a natural death in the womb and then most likely pass on their own. But sometimes you do need miscarriage management and will need to have the deceased fetus removed. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. I don't want to hear him say like, oh well, I'll be great for reproductive rights, or oh, I'm, states' rights and all that. Yeah, he'll have to say that maybe briefly because that's his position or the position he's putting off there. But I would not. She's not gonna. Out of all the issues, she's not gonna screw this up like Joe Biden screwed it up. you know, Joe Biden was unbelievably screwed up that issue. Like I know his brain was fried, but that was crazy because he like reintroduced the issue of immigration and women and children being raped by migrants. I think he was trying to say that you need abortion to be available. So in case you did get raped by an illegal alien, that you could abort that baby. But I don't know. I'd rather not be raped by an illegal alien. I'm just saying. Like if I was gonna have the option of like voting for someone to make something happen, I would vote for the person who's out there saying and has proved to be more competent in stopping the flow of these people who will do those terrible things, rather than the person who's like, well, if it happens, at least you can abort the baby. I just rather not have to deal with that trauma. you know I maybe that's just me though. So he botched that answer, man. I don't foresee Kamala Harris botching it in that kind of way. She's gonna do a lot of platitudes. She's gonna, not even mention the baby. She's, and not gonna humanize a child at all. It's all going to be about a woman's choice and etc. Blah 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 on her own body. And she might bring up some cases of like Kate Cox and other stuff like that. But you know, but Trump is very, he would say moderate, I would say radical on the position. I don't think his position makes any sense, but he's not really even pro-life on the issue anymore. But don't let her take the W with this, and don't just concede the ground. Like attack, 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 attack. Like he's not going to attack it from the, babies have value and don't murder. He's not gonna go from that angle. The only thing he's willing to talk about is the super late term abortion stuff. And they'll claim that only happens and it does happen rarely compared to all the times women do have abortions. But I mean, it's more than like kids. It's happens more time than black men getting shot and killed by the unarmed black men getting shot and killed by the police. You know, it happens more times than other sorts of tragedies that Democrats exploit for political power. It's like 10,000 babies, late term abortion, but you know, they'll try to pretend it's only like for severe medical stuff, which is not true. And he's just not skilled to handle the issue like that. He has to turn it back on the fact that they don't care about bodily autonomy. And there's evidence for that. Let the people go, like, oh yeah, they did lock us down. Oh yeah, her running mate did have a snitch line, so the neighbors could call the government and be like, hey, there's a family eating turkey in here together. You know, like, oh yeah, they did like kick people out the military. They did fire nurses and doctors, and they did who wouldn't get the jab. And you know, my sister, she was concerned about whether she was gonna be able to keep her job because of the OSHA mandates, which also didn't make sense. And that was the most egregious thing. They also didn't make sense on top of the fact that they were tyrannical. So nail her on that stuff. They don't care about choices when it comes to school choice and other kinds of things like that. He go that route too. But the bodily autonomy thing, they violated it. And it sickens me. It sickens me that so many people want to give the Democrats a pass when they clearly proved in 2020 that they don't actually care about your bodily autonomy. They clearly don't care about the bodily autonomy. Anyway, if she bombs tomorrow night, it's going to go so badly for her. But since we're on the topic of Kamala Harris here, let's go ahead and talk about Nikki Haley, of all people, coming to Trump's defense. Now, she's willing to support him in any way that she can. I don't know how many people want her support or want Nikki Haley to come by, convince them to vote. But you know, there's people who obviously supported her and didn't want him to be president. So maybe like those hard R's who you know, aren't too fond of him, maybe she can be that person who's convincing. But on Fox and Friends, she was asked about Liz Cheney's comments regarding her, and I'll let the segment just play.
But I also want to talk about this election. You made it clear before you left, as hard as you campaigned and as direct as you were against former President Trump, you called him up and said, I'll help any way I can. And you will endorse him, you'll vote for him. But I also want to talk about this election. You made it clear before you left, as hard as you campaigned and as direct as you were against former President Trump, you called him up and said, I'll help any way I can. And you will endorse him, you'll vote for him. So you're waiting for that call. Liz Cheney's the other way, a conservative Republican who says, I'm not only not going to support him, I'm going to vote for Harris. And she was upset with your stance. Let's listen.
Even when she stopped running, almost a third of Republican voters were looking for an alternative to Trump and voting for Nikki Haley. She's now saying that she is, quote, on standby to campaign for Donald Trump. She's also, of course, called him unhinged, unqualified.
I can't understand her position on this in any kind of a principled way. I think that, you know, the things that she said, that she made clear when she was running in the primary, those things are true. Casting a vote for Donald Trump or writing someone in means that you've made the decision in too many instances that so many elected Republicans have made, which is to abandon the Constitution.
Your reaction to her reaction?
I respect her decision, but she can't say my decision is not principled. It actually is. We can either vote based on style or we can vote on substance. I'm voting based on substance. I'm looking at the fact we can't live the next 4 years like we did the last 4 years. This is no contest. Harris raised taxes. Trump reduced taxes. Harris wants to stop any energy production. Trump built it up. Harris is weak on national security. Trump was strong on national security. Harris has allowed the border to be infiltrated by 8 million people. Trump was much harder on the border. This is about my family. This is about America. These are about issues. We should be very clear. If you don't like him, say you don't like him, but you can't say that his policies are worse than Kamala Harris's. That's just not a fact.
So
She, you know, good for her for calling out Cheney. Now, the argument for voting against Trump, that's not even one like Cheney's like the one that's like kind of rational isn't really the one I see Cheney even making. But she was saying things like if Kamala Harris, she's changed some of her policies and she's not as radical as she was. First of all, we're hearing lots of things from her aides, and I don't care what they say, they still she's saying what she got to say to get elected. So I believe Bernie Sanders. I believe Bernie Sanders is right because we know that Kamala Harris is one of the most insincere people in the entire political sphere. I felt that way for such a long time. She was my least favorite Democrat in their entire bench in 2020. My least favorite one. She's so radically insincere and will do whatever she has to get elected and say whatever she has to say. And Bernie Sanders is like, hey, she's just, saying she's just trying to win.
Described Vice President Kamala Harris as a progressive. She has previously supported Medicare for all. Now she does not. She's previously supported a ban on fracking. Now she does not. These, Senator, are ideas that you have campaigned on. Do you think that she is abandoning her progressive ideals?
No, I don't think she's abandoning her ideals. I think she's trying to be pragmatic and doing what she thinks is right in order to win the election. My own view is slightly different. I think that in America today, there are a lot of people, rural people, working class people, who no longer believe that the United States Congress and government represents their interests, too dominated by big money interests. So I think that there is something wrong personally when we are the only
described Vice President
Kamala. Well, we got the point out. So he's saying I think she's saying what she needs to get elected. Do you guys recall? Because I don't have it queued up. She demolished Biden in the debate and brought up how he tried to stop her from integrating in schools and busing. Now, the truth is that she wasn't in a segregated school. Stuff or whatever, but she went through this thing about how you try to stop it, and she's like, and that little girl was me. And they sold merch. It was obviously a planned hit. It wasn't organic. They had that queued up and prepared. So once she became the vice president nominee, she was being interviewed by Colbert, and he's like, okay, so what happened there between in the debate? And she's like, he's like, because you really landed some punches. You were really severe. And she just starts laughing. She's like, it was a debate. We went to a debate. We had a debate. The people watched a debate. So in other words, she will say what she has to get people to vote for her. And I understand that's what politicians do. But should we just suddenly trust that she's changed her mind about many bills that she herself proposed? Not just things that she ran on, things that she wanted to be passed. There was one certain particular thing that that someone asked her campaign, like, would she like veto her bill? Would she? And the campaign didn't get back with them on it. These are things that she supported. So do not trust all of a sudden that she's not going to try to pay for everybody's health care, including illegal aliens, that she's not going to try to further decriminalize the illegal border crossings, that she's not, going to try to ban fracking and all kinds of other things. If she can get the opportunity, she will, because she's a radical and has always been a radical. The most radical senator that they had, including more radical than Bernie Sanders. So this suddenly doesn't change. So Liz Cheney saying things like, well, just look at her independents, just look at her policies, and versus they look at Trump's policies and they'll like her. That's not true. That's not true. Trump is a moderate in this race. He's so moderate. If we teleported Bill Clinton from the 90s and had him run against Donald Trump, Bill Clinton would be to the right, probably on a lot of different issues. So Trump has gone so far running to the middle to try to get people's votes, and they still lie about this man. So Liz Cheney's problem with Donald Trump should be not she shouldn't be saying like, look at Kamala's policies, people will see. No, her issue should be that he's run too far to the center. And what could happen, the repercussions to the Republican Party in the long term, not sitting up lying about how radical Kamala Harris is. So these people who decide to go never Trump, the issue with them is they just change and turn and betray so many of their own principles that they've claimed to have stood for. Some of them have gone like full left wing, and they're just so trapped in the grift. Like Liz Cheney did, she also like endorsed, I think, Ted Cruz's opponent. So you might not like Donald Trump, but what's your beef with Ted Cruz? And maybe your beef with Ted Cruz is enabling Donald Trump, but why are you trying to get more Democrats in office, knowing all the radical things that the Democrats are trying to do? Kamala Harris, forget Kamala Harris. I mean, you can't forget her, but the Democrats are proposing to do some very radical things as far as change, what they want to do with different voting laws, what they want to do with court reform, Supreme Court reform, what they want to do as far as breaking the filibuster. If they get control and Kamala Harris can sign all those bills, don't try to pretend like she's not some kind of radical and we're going to have like a normal America and a normal presidency that's just going to be in the center of something that independents will really like. That's not true. So I just don't appreciate the lies. I understand why you hate the man. But it's just nonsense. I understand you want him to lose. And you could say all you people who want him to lose, you can't just sit out. You have to, it's very close. You have to participate. Okay, but don't lie to the people about what's going to happen. That's what bothers me. Like when people try to simp for her or simp for Trump, I don't like people being dishonest. Like let's just lay it all out there and just actually weigh the options as they are. But don't try to pretend like she's not a radical anymore. Please don't, because the Biden-Harris administration is really radical, man. By the way, CNN, I haven't read this article yet, but I just saw that CNN, Harris told ACLU in 2019 she supports cuts to ICE funding and providing gender transition surgery to detained migrants. Yeah. Gotta be careful of those questionnaires. Let me read through some of this really quick. I haven't read this article. I just saw it before we went live. This is a CNN article. As Kamala Harris pivots to the political center, yeah, right, in her campaign for president, by the way, all the taxes she's proposing, like the taxing like unrealized gains and all that stuff, and raising the corporate tax and all that stuff, that's not going to the middle. That's not middle stuff. What does she think is in the middle? What's their version of the middle? What is the middle? Price caps are not the middle. They're not. As Kamala Harris pivots to the political center in her campaign for president, a 2019 questionnaire from a leading civil rights organization spotlights her past support for left-wing causes such as taxpayer-funded gender transition surgeries for detained immigrants and federal prisoners. I'm not surprised at that at all. She's from California. They be doing that stuff out there. Not just there, but if you're a dude and you don't want to be housed with other dudes, say you're a woman and get housed with the ladies. They're doing some radical stuff in California. The women are not safe in these prisons. They are not safe. In an American Civil Liberties Union questionnaire, then Senator Harris filled out. It's so crazy that someone would fill that out though and like check that box. As a candidate for president 2020, she also expressed support for decriminalized federal drug possession for personal use and for sweeping reductions to immigration and custom enforcement operations, including drastic cuts to ICE funding and an open-ended pledge to end immigration detention. The questionnaire has received scant media attention, and a spokesperson for the ACLU claimed it had remained live from 2019. But the ACLU's website upload and page source indicate the questionnaire was reposted last month after Harris became the They reposted it, became the presumptive Democratic nominee. CNN was unable to find questionnaires filled out by other candidates from 2020 campaign that the ACLU had reposted. Harris has acknowledged that some of her stances have evolved over time, but that she holds core beliefs that remain unshakable. My values have not changed, she said in an interview with CNN last month. The ACLU questionnaire. So what kind of trash values do you have when you want men to be able to receive transgender surgeries and all this kind of care, and then they'll switch to the women's prison and all that stuff? Like, what kind of trash values do you have, ma'am? The ACLU questionnaire, which has been sent to all Democratic and Republican candidates during the 2020 presidential campaign, provides a clear record of Harris's progressive stances. Some candidates did not respond to the questionnaire, including Joe Biden. The ACLU later ran radio ads attacking Biden for not answering. The ACLU had also had volunteers question candidates at public town halls and later posted videos on their website of their responses. During one town hall event in New Hampshire in April 2019, Harris was asked by a voter if she supports adding a third gender to federal identification cards. Sure, Harris answered to a round of applause from the crowd. I have my entire life and career behind it. I have my entire life and career been an ally, and I see the issue of LGBTQ rights as a fundamental civil rights and human rights issue, period. Harris said in her response. Harris also attacked the Trump administration's efforts to ban transgender troops in the military, calling it outrageous. There's a lot of medical issues that follow these folks, man. These are people who have decided they're willing to sacrifice and serve for the sake of our democracy and our freedom, and you're going to kick them out of the military, Harris said. ACLU told CNN it doesn't plan on sending Harris a new questionnaire this election. The Harris campaign did not answer questions from CNN on whether she continued to support these positions, and instead provided a statement attributable only to unnamed Harris campaign advisors, saying the vice president's positions have been shaped by 3 years of elective governance as part of the Biden-Harris administration. Wouldn't it be crazy if, and I don't think this happened, I'm just saying, wouldn't it be crazy, because they have all these unnamed advisors and unnamed sources from the campaign saying that she changed her position on this and changed her position on that? What if the campaign like isn't actually responding, and the news organizations were just making it up, saying she changed her position, said a person whose name we don't know, but I'm sure there's just a person whose name they don't want to tell. And because they don't want to nail anything down, because her values haven't changed, as she said, and she still plans to do the crazy things that she wants to do. They still want to do the crazy things. Harris' starkest contrast to her current position might be her new tough immigration rhetoric versus what she told the ACLU when asked about criminal justice reform on the questionnaire. She wrote she would end immigration detention facilities along with private prisons. Harris also said she supported decreasing funding for ICE. Our immigrant detention system is out of control, and I believe we must end the unfair incarceration of thousands of individuals, families, and children, Harris wrote. I was one of the first senators after President Trump was elected to advocate for the decrease in funding to ICE. Harris appears to be citing her efforts in 2017 to oppose increased ICE funding under Trump. Now she doesn't mind giving more money to ICE. Giving more money for ICE agents if they're going to just usher more people into the country. That's what they keep complaining about, that bill that Republicans didn't want to vote for. And they're like, Trump made them not sign the bill. They wanted more officers, but not to protect the border and enforce the law, to basically nanny people into the country, So she may decrease funding a bit, or she may up it, but they'll just put more money into the border issue, but not actually like building the wall and keeping people out and stopping drug cartels from having drones fly. They're not going to do stuff like that. So interesting questionnaire. There's more to the article. Again, that's a CNN article about the ACLU thing. That is funny. That is very funny. I'm not surprised. I mean, I know those positions of hers because she's a crazy person. She's a crazy person. Okay, let me let me show you some things going on. So in Michigan, I'm sorry, not Michigan, in Ohio. So there have been people complaining about Haitians in city council meetings. And there was one video where they just shut down the city council meeting because all these residents are talking and they're like, I don't know, they're trying to make it seem like it's some kind of racist issue for these people to bring up the fact that Haiti's a failed nation and people are coming here and they're not exactly like integrating well into society. So I want some of these people to speak in their own words, and then we'll talk about some memes going on. But here's a resident, Springfield, a resident talking to the city council.
I think it's like kind of odd that like a guy like me has to come out from doing what I do on a daily basis to have fun because I see what's going on in these streets, and I see you guys just sitting up there in them comfy chairs and suits, and I'm getting out here every day and I'm broadcasting this, and you guys are just sitting up there in suits or something. Like, I really challenge you guys to get out here and do something. These Haitians are running into trash cans. They're running into buildings. They're running into... they flipping cars in the middle of the street. And I don't know how, like, y'all can be comfortable with this. Like, I don't know, like, who's getting paid from it. I honestly feel like someone's getting paid from it in the background. You got a bunch of people on a bus getting dropped off at a gas station to come down here. I know a single mom that FaceTimed me this morning at the welfare office that really need something. And it's nothing but immigrants over there. And I don't even want to like seem like I'm coming down on the immigrants because it's the people that's bringing them down here. Because wherever they're at, that's what they're used to, bro. They're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them. Like, y'all get the Highway State Patrol down here every week, and then y'all get like a task force for the Highway State Patrol, and they look for guns and they look for dope and this and that and the fourth. That same people that y'all got riding up and down Limestone doing U-turns, pulling people over for blinkers and pulling people over for like going left to center and like a couple miles over, like y'all can take them same people, the Highway State Patrol, and you can take them in every single one of their silver Chargers and Dodge Durangos, and y'all can take them to Sunset. And y'all can park them right over there, and y'all can teach people how to drive. Since the Highway State Patrol knows so much about traffic laws and know what to do in traffic, y'all pay them. They can go over there and teach these Haitians how to drive because it's getting bro. I'm getting thousands of views on these, and it's going to get bigger, and it's only going to get worse. And y'all sitting up there in these chairs, all y'all need to get out here and do something. Y'all making hundreds of thousands of dollars. Y'all need to put on a t-shirt and some Crocs, and then y'all need to come out here in these streets, and y'all need to go out here and I'm out here before the police is. Like, y'all need to do something, bro. Y'all really got to stand on business. Y'all getting paid all this money just to wear a suit and sit in a chair. I think it's crazy, bro. We got to do something, bro. It's kids out here getting hurt. Like, only reason I even went on here and said something about it is because somebody told me they walking from the school and a Haitian almost ran into them. And who is getting paid? Like, how much money is y'all really getting paid, like, to bring them over here? Like, I know it's deeper than them. I know that's where they come from, and that's what they do. That's their country. I don't know what they got going on over there, but they can't do that over here. And if y'all just getting paid from it and then y'all ain't doing nothing about it, I think that's super weird, bro. Y'all got to stand on business. Y'all got to really, like, step up. Like, it's lame, bro.
I love the fact that he brought up, like, y'all got all these cops that be like pulling other people over. Like, actually, how about you actually have them do something productive? Because, man, I sure do be thinking, you know, there's so many things that could be going on as opposed to just kind of parking and waiting for someone to be like 5 over or something like that. So I be thinking that sometimes. So I'm like, speak on it, sir. Here's another video. Now he said they're just taking ducks. And there's like other photos of Haitians having birds and stuff. There was also a post, because there was a video going around last night and today about a woman who ate a cat, that particular video, if you've seen it going around, that woman is not a Haitian immigrant. She apparently is a crazy woman who ate somebody's cat. But there have been stories, at least for a week, I guess, with some of these Haitians doing this stuff with this bird. So somebody left a post, like a local kind of post, and I'll read it. Now I don't know how much, I'm not there, but I'm just kind of reporting what's people are claiming. But warning to all about our beloved pets and those around us. My neighbor informed me that her daughter's friend had lost her cat. She checked pages, kennels, asked around, etc. One day she came home from work. As soon as she stepped out of her car, looked toward the neighbor's house where Haitians live, and saw a cat hanging from the branch like you do a deer for butchering, and they were carving it up to eat. I've been told they are doing this to dogs. They have been doing it to Snyder Park with ducks and geese, as I was told that last bit by rangers and police. Please keep a close eye on these animals. So yeah, that's the word going around with the ducks and the so on. So on Facebook I had posted an AI image of a duck holding like a sign for Trump, and it also was a cat too. Someone, Prison Mitch, made this one where Trump is saving the cats, saying you have to vote for him to save the cats from Kamala's failed border policies. There's an AI that someone has of Trump with a duck. That's pretty. Here we go. So is Trump just like kissing the little duck, saying, I love you. I would never let Asians eat you. So AI is getting crazy. Somebody that I follow said it's pretty crazy that we're now to the point where Democrats are so bad at governing that oh, here it is. Stuff is so crazy that one of the most compelling reasons to vote for Trump is now that he'll stop cats from getting eaten. That's how stupid Democrat governance is. So it's wild out there. So I guess if you live anywhere in that area, just watch your pets and save the little duckies, man. Save the little duckies. Here's another video from someone at the city council.
And I'm done with what I'm seeing. It is so unsafe in my neighborhood anymore. I have the homeless that were trying to camp out, and I have made concessions with them, and I try to help them the best I can to keep them from trying to squat on my property. But it is so unsafe. I have men that cannot speak English in my front yard screaming at me, throwing mattresses in my front yard, throwing trash in my front yard. And I can't. Look at me, I weigh 95 pounds. I couldn't defend myself if I had to. My husband is elderly, and last night, after living in this home for 45 years, he said, Noelle, guess what? It's time to pack up and move. He said, we can't do this anymore. He said, it's killing both of us mentally. I don't understand what you expect of us as citizens. I mean, I understand they're here under temporary protected status, and you're protecting them, and I understand that our city services are overwhelmed and understaffed. But who's protecting us? If we're protecting them, who's protecting me? I want out of this town. I am sorry. Please give me a reason to stay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Poor woman. Poor woman. Pouring our heart out to a government who doesn't care. Who's protecting them? Who's taking care of the U.S. citizens? As all this stuff kind of rages on. There was another one. Let me see if I maybe retweeted it. But they shut it down. They shut it down. No, I don't see it. Maybe I didn't save it. Maybe I bookmarked it. Let me see. Doesn't look like I did. But yeah, there was another person who spoke and they just like promptly like shut down the meeting. And he's like, we have the right to speak and this is illegal, just shutting down in the middle of folks, giving their opinions or whatever, or public comment. And they did not care. They shut it down. So it's too bad. It's too bad. But I hope people vote accordingly. You know, I hope people because if they don't change, they'll just move elsewhere and make other things worse. They'll make there was a thread I had retweeted last week that was pretty interesting. It was somebody who doesn't like Trump, isn't going to vote for Trump, and it seems like it's trying to convince other people to not vote for Trump. But they talked about Florida and the ballot initiatives, the one about abortion and also the one about the pot. And basically saying that if they dramatically like change the culture of Florida, it's going to quickly shift and be blue. Back to blue because it was a swing state, and you have DeSantis who wields the governance power very effectively, but all that can easily change and easily flip. And I just hate the idea of people going to the Florida beaches and people out, you're trying to enjoy sun and somebody's, smoking pot, and you can't do anything about people publicly smelling like skunk, not just skunk, but a skunk's BO, like the BO of the BO. So, Trump came out actually, and I think if at first he said something about how he wanted it to be legal for people to do pot, but he also wanted it regulated because the smell is just kind of bad. But I think he said he wanted it to support it, period. So, when I said that Liz Cheney could make an argument to not support Trump, it's because in situations like that, it's just the leadership isn't quite there, and he pulls in a negative direction sometimes, and what the kind of long-term issues we'll have if there's just concessions after concessions and just basically becoming Democrats in order to win Democrats. So that's the argument people could make, but the pretending like Kamala Harris is not a radical person is insane. But hopefully DeSantis and the Republicans can quell the lust for pot and abortion and all that stuff and defeat those measures. But it won't do well for the overall culture of Florida. And if that becomes a stronghold of Democrats, which a lot of Democrats are moving into Florida, it's not just people who are Republicans going to Florida because I know Republicans who went there, but there's all kinds of people like Julie Michaels left California to go to Florida. Do you think she's voting like, I guess I don't know how she's voting, but I don't imagine that she's all of a sudden conservative. I know she thinks California's crazy, but that doesn't mean she's suddenly on the right. So if people are still, if they're coming from California, other places, and they're like, oh, I don't want a 6-week ban. I don't care if it has all these exceptions in it. I want it to be like, women's choice, whatever, And I don't care if people do pot or whatever. I like pot, like, and they'll vote whatever kind of way. And it just keeps shifting the culture of the state. So we need some strong leadership to go back toward the right path. And I know there's people on the right who like their pot and drugs and stuff too, but man, it smells, guys. And it's Mike Cernovich used to be like pro pot, but then he realized he didn't like the sort of effects it was having on society. But someone, I think it was Steve Deese, who retweeted Trump and was talking about him saying support the measure, because he's like, he would not want people to go to Mar-a-Lago and to be able to smoke this stuff and no one be able to stop them. Like, he wouldn't appreciate if they did that there. So why would he want people to be able to do that, basically, you know, on the beaches and all the other places where people go to vacation? Let me find the there's more cat memes. There's more cat memes. Truthfully, I'm not a cat or a dog. I don't like animals too much. This one's funny too. Don't call me a cat lady. Don't eat my cats. Progressive women in Ohio. That's funny. I'm trying to see. Find his post. Here we go. Okay, so Donald Trump said, as I have previously stated, I believe it is time to end needless arrests and incarcerations of adults for small amounts of marijuana and personal use. We must also implement smart regulations while providing access for adults to safe, tested product. As a Floridian, I will be voting yes on Amendment 3 this November. As president, we will continue to focus on research to unlock the medical uses of marijuana into a Schedule 3 drug and work with Congress to pass common sense laws, including safe banking for state-authorized companies and supporting states' rights to pass marijuana laws like in Florida that work so well for their citizens. There's a lot of money, by the way, in this measure, guys. He said anybody who has spent any time in California and Michigan, the stoner capitals of America now, no unrestricted chronic is complete and total degeneracy. And I guarantee you it's nothing Trump wants at his posh hotel as well. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't like it. I don't like it. He wouldn't like the White House smelling like that. One time I was driving in the car with my sister. Our windows were up and somebody just drove by and it just followed us for a while. The smell. And we're like, my sister tried to roll down the windows. I'm like, the smell came from outside. What are you doing? Like, to roll down the windows. And there's been a few times it's in the grocery store and then someone walks by and it's in your midst of talking or whatever, like you can't breathe, you can't sniff, you can't do it. You're just trying to not be a part of the stench, man. It's not great. It's not great. So there's people trying to pretend like Trump is some kind of crazy person on the right now is just insane. People trying to tie him to Project 2025 and like, no, he's very moderate, man. He's very moderate. So you're it's like, I don't know, soft dem or communist. That's pretty much your choice, I guess. So anyway, that's all I got to say today, I believe. Please go blacktnews.com, check out different content on my website, articles, videos, etc. If you like what I do here, please consider leaving a donation on the website because it does cost to stream it and run it, my site, and all that good stuff you guys can support. I very much appreciate you guys. Again, this Thursday, I will be saying, am I racist? And if you are in the Michigan area, you guys can get a ticket to go to this Imagine in Royal Oak and it'll be at 7 o'clock, and the tickets are $20, and that's popcorn and pop, and you get to go to the after party, and where one of the producers who was in the film will be there as well, and there'll also be food, so it'll be a great time, and I recommend that you guys come if you can, and again, I'll be there, and so we can say hello and mingle. I don't know how introverted I seem through this computer, but just FYI, you see me in real life, we will talk and we will have communication. But if I'm a little awkward, it's because I am introverted. I don't know how people can really tell. Sometimes people are surprised, but I just want to put it out there. FYI. But I'll be glad to meet some of you guys if you guys can make it out. So anyway, it's a good movie, well worth checking out. God bless you guys, and I will catch you guys tomorrow.